While I was deployed, my wife told me she was pregnant. I was overjoyed. 3 months later, when I found out she filed for divorce, my world collapsed until the baby was born and the DNA test revealed the truth. My name is Michael. I'm 29 years old, and I'm a sergeant in the U.S. Army. This story happened during my deployment to Afghanistan in 2023. What started as the happiest news of my life turned into the most calculated revenge I've ever executed. I met Sarah in 2019 at a coffee shop near Fort Campbell. She was a nursing student, blonde, with green eyes that seemed to light up when she smiled. We were married within a year. Military relationships move fast when you're facing deployment schedules. Sarah always said she was proud to be a military wife, that she could handle the separations. Our first 2 years were perfect. Sarah supported my career. We bought a small house in Clarksville, Tennessee, and talked about starting a family. She'd send care packages during my training exercises, attended military spouse events, even got a job at the base hospital. Everyone said we were the perfect military couple. In March 2023, I got orders for a 12-month deployment to Afghanistan. Sarah cried when I told her, but she said she understood. "We'll get through this," she promised. "When you come back, we'll start trying for a baby." The first 3 months of deployment were routine. Sarah and I video called every few days. She sent letters. Everything seemed normal. She told me about her job at the hospital, her friends, how she was redecorating our bedroom. I was counting down the days until I could come home. Then in June, I got the call that changed everything. "Michael, are you sitting down?" Sarah's voice was shaking with excitement. "What's wrong?" I asked, immediately worried. "Nothing's wrong. Michael, I'm pregnant." I literally dropped my phone. My teammates looked at me like I'd lost my mind as I started laughing and crying at the same time. After picking up the phone, I could barely speak. "Are you serious? How far along?" 8 weeks, she said. "I wanted to be sure before I told you. The doctor confirmed it yesterday." I was ecstatic. I called my parents. My brother told my unit. Everyone was congratulating me. I started planning everything. How I'd request emergency leave for the birth, what would name the baby, how I'd convert the spare room into a nursery when I got back. Sarah seemed just as excited. She sent ultrasound photos, talked about morning sickness, started a pregnancy journal that she'd read to me over video calls. I felt connected to the pregnancy even from 7,000 miles away. But something started changing in August. Sarah's calls became less frequent. When we did talk, she seemed distracted, tired. She said the pregnancy was difficult, that she was having complications. I offered to request emergency leave, but she insisted she was fine, that her sister Emma was helping her. "I don't want you to worry," she kept saying. "Focus on staying safe. The baby and I will be here when you get back." In September, the calls almost stopped completely. Sarah would text instead of calling, saying she was too exhausted to talk. The text became shorter, less personal. I started to worry something was seriously wrong with the pregnancy. Then came the message that destroyed my world. October 15th, 2023. I was in the mess hall when my phone buzzed with a WhatsApp message from Sarah. "Michael, I can't do this anymore. I've filed for divorce. The papers are being sent to your command. I'm sorry." I stared at the message for 10 minutes, reading it over and over. My teammate Rodriguez noticed something was wrong. "You look like you've seen a ghost, man. What's up?" I couldn't speak. I just handed him my phone. "Holy shit," he said. "I'm sorry, brother." I tried calling Sarah immediately, straight to voicemail. I called her sister Emma. Same thing. I called Sarah's mother in Ohio. She hung up on me when she heard my voice. That night, I called Sarah's number 50 times. Finally, she answered. "Sarah, what the hell is going on? You're 6 months pregnant with my child, and you're filing for divorce." "Michael, I've been thinking about this for months. We got married too young, too fast. I can't handle being a military wife anymore. What about the baby? What about our family?" There was a long pause. The baby will be fine. We'll work out custody arrangements. Something in her voice was wrong. Cold. This wasn't the Sarah I married. I'm requesting emergency leave. I'm coming home. Don't, she said quickly. There's no point. The papers are filed. Just, let's handle this through lawyers. She hung up. I spent the next 3 days trying to reach her, trying to understand what had happened. Finally, my command officer, Captain Williams, called me into his office. Sergeant Thompson, I received some legal documents for you. The divorce papers were brutal. Sarah was requesting half of everything: the house, my military savings, my future pension benefits. But what shocked me most was a restraining order request, claiming I had been emotionally abusive and that she feared for her safety. I'd never raised my voice to Sarah in 4 years of marriage. Sir, this is insane. My wife is 6 months pregnant. I need emergency leave. Captain Williams looked at the papers again. According to this, she's claiming the marriage has been over for months and that you've been threatening her. These are serious allegations. Sergeant, none of it's true, sir. I don't understand what's happening. I'm going to approve a 72-hour emergency leave so you can handle this situation. But Thompson, you need to be very careful. If these allegations are true, they're not, sir. I swear on my life, they're not. The flight back to Nashville was the longest 18 hours of my life. I called Sarah from the airport. No answer. I drove straight to our house in Clarksville. Sarah's car wasn't in the driveway, but there was a strange pickup truck parked where I usually parked. I used my key to enter. The house felt different. Sarah's things were gone from our bedroom, but there were men's clothes in the closet that weren't mine. Larger sizes, different style. Work boots by the door that was size 12. I wear size 10. I sat on our bed, trying to process what I was seeing. My wife was 6 months pregnant with my child, had filed for divorce, and another man was living in our house. That's when I heard voices outside. Through the bedroom window, I saw Sarah getting out of a car. She wasn't alone. A man I'd never seen before was with her. Tall, dark hair, probably in his 30s. But what made my blood run cold was what I saw next. Sarah wasn't pregnant. Not even a little bit. She was wearing tight jeans and a fitted top. No baby bump. No sign she'd ever been pregnant. I watched as a stranger kissed my wife in our driveway, put his hands where a 6-month pregnant belly should have been, and they walked toward the house together, laughing. I had about 30 seconds to make a decision. I could confront them right then, or I could leave and figure out what the hell was really going on. I chose option 2. I slipped out the back door and drove to a motel near the base. That night, I made a list of everything that didn't make sense. Sarah's pregnancy symptoms seemed fake in hindsight. She never showed me a real ultrasound, just photos that could have been anyone's. Her doctor visits were always scheduled when I couldn't call. The sudden divorce filing, the restraining order allegations, another man living in our house, Sarah showing no signs of pregnancy. I realized I'd been played, but I needed proof. The next morning, I drove back to our neighborhood and parked down the street. I watched Sarah and her new boyfriend leave together in his truck. Once they were gone, I went back into the house. My name was still on the lease. I found what I was looking for in Sarah's dresser drawer. Pregnancy test boxes, all negative. Fake ultrasound photos she downloaded and printed. A notebook with dates and pregnancy symptoms written out like a script she was following. But the real evidence was on her laptop, which she'd left open on the kitchen table. Facebook messages between Sarah and someone named Jessica dating back 6 months. How long can you fake a pregnancy? Sarah had written, "Girl, as long as you need to. My cousin did it for 8 months to get her ex to pay for stuff. Just make sure you have an emergency miscarriage if he comes home early. What if he wants to be there for doctor visits? Tell him you're high risk and stressed. Military guys are gullible. They'll believe anything if you cry enough." I screenshot everything. Then I kept reading. How's Operation Baby Daddy going? Jessica had written 2 weeks ago. Perfect. Filed divorce papers yesterday. Derek moved in last week. Once I get half his military benefits and the house, we're set. The pregnancy story was genius. He's been sending me extra money for baby expenses for months. What about when he gets back? Restraining order will keep him away. I'll claim miscarriage from stress. By the time it's all sorted, Derek and I will be in Florida with his new job offer. Derek, that was the other man's name. I spend the next hour going through Sarah's things, finding more evidence. Bank statements showing she'd been spending my baby money on clothes, restaurants, trips with Derek. Text messages between them going back 8 months, while I was still home, while she was pretending to be the perfect military wife. But the worst discovery was in her email. A message to Derek from 2 days ago. Michael's such an idiot. Fell for the whole pregnancy thing completely. Even sent me $5,000 last month for nursery furniture. Can't wait to get to Florida and start over. Maybe we'll send him a postcard from the beach. I sat in my living room, the living room I'd been paying for while another man lived in my house, and felt something break inside me. Not sadness, not anger, something colder. Sarah had orchestrated an elaborate con. She'd been cheating on me for 8 months, faked a pregnancy for 4 months, taken thousands of dollars from me, filed for divorce with false allegations, and was planning to disappear with half my assets and her boyfriend. But she'd made one crucial mistake. She'd underestimated who she was dealing with. I'm not just any soldier. I'm military intelligence. I'm trained to gather information, analyze patterns, and execute complex operations. And Sarah had just declared war on the wrong person. I called my lawyer, Marcus Webb, whom I'd met through military legal services. Marcus, I need to see you immediately. My wife has been running a scam on me, and I have evidence. 2 hours later, I was in Marcus's office, showing him everything I'd found. Jesus Christ, Michael, this is elaborate fraud. She could face criminal charges for this. What are my options? Marcus reviewed the documents. Well, the good news is a restraining order request will never hold up with this evidence. The bad news is she's already spent a lot of your money. I want to destroy her, I said. Legally, completely, professionally. I want her to understand consequences. Marcus smiled. I think we can arrange that, but we need to be strategic. If we play this right, she'll hand us everything we need to bury her. What do you mean? Right now, she thinks she's winning. She's confident, careless. Let's let her keep thinking that while we build an airtight case. Over the next 48 hours, Marcus and I developed what we called Operation Consequence. First, I wouldn't contest a divorce, yet. I'd let Sarah think she was getting everything she wanted while we gathered more evidence. Second, I installed security cameras in the house while Sarah and Derek were out. Tiny ones, hidden in smoke detectors and electrical outlets. Everything they did or said in my house would be recorded. Third, I hired a private investigator to follow Sarah and Derek, document their activities, and research Derek's background. Fourth, I'd return to Afghanistan as scheduled but monitor everything remotely. The hardest part was the next conversation with Sarah. I called her that evening, acting defeated. Sarah, I got the papers. Michael, I know this is hard, but it's for the best. What about the baby? Can I at least be involved? Long pause. The baby? Michael, I lost a baby. Yesterday. The stress of everything caused a miscarriage. Even knowing it was all lies, hearing her fake grief over fake pregnancy made me sick. I'm so sorry. I managed to say, we should have handled this differently. Maybe if you'd been home more, been a better husband. She said, actually blaming me for the fake miscarriage of the fake baby. You're right. I failed you. I'll sign whatever papers you need. I just want you to be happy. Really? She sounded suspicious. Really? I'm heading back to Afghanistan tomorrow. My lawyer will handle everything. Take care of yourself. After I hung up, I sat in my motel room and smiled for the first time in weeks. Sarah thought she'd broken me. Instead, she'd just given me everything I needed to destroy her. I returned to Afghanistan and waited. The security cameras I'd installed started paying off immediately. Within a week, I had footage of Sarah and Derek celebrating their successful scam over dinner in my kitchen. "I can't believe he bought the whole pregnancy thing," Derek said, raising a beer. "Military guys are so fucking stupid." "The best part is paying for this house while we live here rent-free," Sarah laughed. "When the divorce goes through, I'll get half of everything, and we can sell this place and move to Florida." "What if he fights it?" "He won't. He thinks I lost his baby. He feels guilty. Guys like Michael are predictable. They'll just take whatever punishment they think they deserve." They were wrong. The private investigators' report on Derek was even better than I'd hoped. Derek Morrison, 34, had been arrested twice for fraud. He was currently on probation for scamming elderly people in a fake home repair scheme. He also had outstanding warrants in 2 states for unpaid child support. But the real gift came 3 weeks after I returned to Afghanistan. My PI called with urgent news. "Michael, you need to see this. Derek and your wife just got married." "What?" "The divorce isn't even final." "That's the point. They got married in Vegas 2 days ago. Sarah committed bigamy. It's a felony." I literally laughed out loud. Sarah had been so eager to start her new life that she committed a federal crime. "There's more?" the PI continued. "I followed them to the bank yesterday. Sarah took out a $50,000 home equity loan against your house. She and Derek are planning to disappear with the money." That was the final straw. I called Marcus immediately. "It's time," I said. "I want to trigger Operation Consequence." "Are you sure?" "Once we start this, there's no going back." "I'm sure. Burn it all down." The next morning, Sarah got a knock on her door. Federal marshals, there to arrest Derek on his outstanding warrants. While they were handcuffing him in my driveway, a sheriff's deputy served Sarah with papers for bigamy, fraud, and theft. But I wasn't done. While Sarah was at the police station, Marcus filed emergency motions to freeze all our joint assets, contest a divorce on grounds of fraud, and evict Derek from my property. The security camera footage went to the district attorney's office, along with all the evidence of Sarah's fake pregnancy scam and the illegal home equity loan. Sarah's employer, the base hospital, received copies of her criminal charges and security footage showing her celebrating defrauding a deployed soldier. Derek's probation officer received the bigamy evidence and footage of him living under a false identity. Within 48 hours, Sarah's entire life imploded. Derek was back in prison, this time with additional charges for violating probation and bigamy. Sarah was fired from her job at the base hospital. The bigamy charges made local news. Military wife arrested for bigamy while husband deployed. Sarah's family, who had supported her divorce, learned the truth about her fake pregnancy and fraud scheme. But the piece to resistance came when Sarah tried to call me. "Michael, you have to help me. This is all a misunderstanding." "Is it?" I asked calmly. "The pregnancy was real. I really did lose a baby." "Sarah, I have security footage of you and Derek celebrating your successful scam over dinner in my kitchen. I have your Facebook messages planning the whole thing. I have your fake ultrasound photos. I have bank records showing you spent baby money on vacations with Derek." Silence. "I also have footage of you committing bigamy, stealing $50,000 from our house, and planning to disappear to Florida." "Michael, please. I made mistakes, but dash. No, Sarah, you made choices. You chose to cheat on me while I was deployed. You chose to fake a pregnancy to manipulate me. You chose to steal my money. You chose to commit bigamy. You chose to try to destroy my life. I'm sorry. I'll make it right." "You will make it right. You will serve your time, pay restitution, and live with the consequences of your choices. Don't do this to me." "I'm not doing anything to you, Sarah. You did this to yourself." I hung up and never spoke to her again. 6 months later, I was back in the States for good. I'd requested a transfer to Fort Bragg to be closer to the legal proceedings. Sarah pleaded guilty to bigamy, fraud, and theft. She was sentenced to 2 years in prison and ordered to pay full restitution of the money she'd stolen. Derek got 4 years for his probation violations, bigamy, and new fraud charges. The house was officially mine. Sarah forfeited any claim to it as part of her plea agreement. The divorce was finalized on my terms. Sarah got nothing. I kept the security camera footage from that night when they celebrated scamming me. Sometimes, when I'm having a bad day, I watch it and remember that actions have consequences. A year later, I got a letter from Sarah in prison. Michael, I know you'll probably never forgive me, but I want you to know I understand now how badly I hurt you. I threw away a good marriage for someone who abandoned me the moment things got difficult. I faked a pregnancy because I thought it would make you send me more money, but I never thought about how cruel that was to someone who wanted children. I committed crimes because I was selfish and greedy. I destroyed my own life trying to hurt yours. I'm sorry. I read it once and threw it away. Some people think I went too far, that I should have just divorced her and moved on. But Sarah didn't just cheat on me. She didn't just ask for a divorce. She faked a pregnancy, one of the cruelest deceptions you can inflict on someone who wants children. She stole thousands of dollars from a deployed soldier. She committed bigamy and fraud. She tried to destroy my reputation with false allegations. She would have disappeared with half my life savings if I hadn't stopped her. This wasn't about revenge. This was about justice. Sarah made calculated choices to hurt me in the worst possible ways. I made calculated choices to ensure she faced the consequences of her actions. Today, I'm married to Jessica, a teacher I met through a mutual friend. She's honest, kind, and understands the value of loyalty. We have twin daughters, Emma and Grace, who are the lights of my life. Sarah got out of prison 8 months ago. I heard she's working at a gas station in Ohio, living with her parents, still paying restitution. Derek is still in prison. Sometimes people ask if I feel bad about how things turned out for Sarah. I don't. She had every opportunity to be honest, to ask for help, to end our marriage with dignity. Instead, she chose deception, theft, and cruelty. In the military, we have a saying, integrity is doing the right thing when no one is watching. Sarah failed that test. But when someone declares war on your life, your finances, and your future, you don't surrender. You make sure they understand the cost of their choices. And sometimes, the best revenge is simply letting someone face the consequences of their own actions. The fake pregnancy was her idea. The bigamy was her choice. The fraud was her crime. I just made sure she couldn't escape the aftermath. In the end, Sarah got exactly what she deserved. Nothing. And I got something better than revenge. I got justice.